Deacon Schmitt, you mentioned it, down to his top 3, committing on the 28th. What are your thoughts, Matt? Seeing Colorado in the top 3, got OU and Alabama there as well. 2 great offensive line coaches, great schools that run the ball. Matt, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll be there on the 28th, sitting right next to Big Boy. Fuck, man, this is tough. This is tough, and I was talking about this with Nick and Bree on the way back from camp today, and it was like, if you're a Deacon, what do you do? And I tried to run it down like this. You can rank the 3 schools however you want. CU's probably 3rd if you're talking about like national prominence and all that shit. It's Alabama and Oklahoma, for God's sakes. Mm-hmm. Deacon has to weigh on his scale how much staying home is important to him. And I sat at camp the other day with Pat Schumer, the OC, and Pat and I must have talked for 30 minutes just about Deacon and Breck.
Really?
And like, especially Deacon, because Breck's going to high school in Florida, so he's got roots down there now. He's got Southern roots, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Deacon's from fucking Windsor, bro. Like, I went to Niwot. We drove by Windsor and Niwot on the way to Greeley today. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a Northern Colorado kid. This is the kind of guy they have to keep home. But when you've got Coach Kaplivic, who coached at CU under Shady Mel Tucker, which has nothing to do with Coach Cap, by the way. He's a fucking straight arrow, good coach. Mm-hmm. And he's at Alabama. If you go to Alabama and you stay there for 5 years and develop and early enroll, I would say the chances of you making the playoff and playing for a national title are about 100%, at least once, right? In 5 years?
Seemingly so, yeah.
You actually think they're going to miss the playoff for 5 fucking straight years? No way.
I mean, they're going to be, they're going to be competing.
They're going to compete. You're going to compete for SEC titles. You're going to compete for national championships. You're going to be developed. You're going to play against the best players in the country. But Alabama, for all of its benefits, there are big fish in the biggest pond ever. It doesn't matter how good of a player you are. You'll probably never be the best guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just so many greats. There's so many Heisman winners and so many national titles. It's like, yeah, you won with the Yankees, and that's great. The Yankees got another title. That's the way Alabama is. Right?
It's regular.
Oklahoma's a little different because Alabama's got the most security, in my opinion. And people are going to get mad at me when I talk about this. You need to listen to what I'm saying. I don't think DeBoer gets fired anytime soon because they're recruiting class and they're just too good to lose consistently, right?
Yeah, I agree.
And they're not going to fire him after 1 or 2 losses a year. That's just not the way that they operate there. They're very loyal. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they want to set the precedent of having Saban there for so long and then one guy struggles a little bit perceived and they're just cutting him and they're bringing him down. That doesn't give a lot of fucking faith to the next guy to come in and be like, well, you're going to let me build? You let Saban build? You don't let this other guy do it? So I think they have the most stable coaching perspective here. And I only say that because Oklahoma is now in its 2nd year in the SEC. They were dog shit last year with a Big 12 roster. Mm-hmm. Venables is bringing them into the SEC. He's a great coordinator. But if they struggle again in Norman this year, do you actually think they're not going to fire him?
It's going to be really tough, man.
He's gone, dog. If they could go 6-6, I think he'd get fired.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they have
to win. How many games do you have to win in Norman to keep people fucking cool? Like 9 or 10 minimum.
I mean, I was going to say at least 8, but not if you're saying 9 or 10.
I'm saying 9 or 10, bro.
It's going to be interesting, Matt, with them. They got Mateer, the quarterback, coming up from Washington State. He gets his OC.
They got a great recruiting class. They were good in the transfer portal. They got dudes everywhere. But it's like we've said on the show so many times, you're not going to fucking Ames. You're not going to Ames anymore. You're not going to Lawrence, Kansas anymore. You're not going to Lubbock anymore. You're not going to Waco anymore. You're not going to fucking West Virginia anymore. You're not going to Cincinnati and shit. You're going to LSU and Alabama and Auburn and fucking
Knoxville.
And then all these other Texas and all these other motherfuckers. So Oklahoma, it's almost like careful what you wish for. You dominated a conference, 55 titles in 100 years. So every other year you won the Big 12 or the Big 8. and Nebraska was on the other side of that, and then a couple of other teams sprinkled in. I just look at it and go, that is a great opportunity because you get to play for Bill Beatonbaugh.
Yeah.
But what if you do struggle? The next coach might not like you, and Venables gets fired and he's gone. But they could win 11 games and Venables stays there for 10 years. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
So it's a teeter-totter year for Oklahoma. I think there's a lot of stability at Alabama. And then Colorado's the wild card here because it's the home school. His parents are down the street. He's a hometown kid. He loves his roots. I'm down the street. Like we've talked about this 100 times. Like I can just keep working with you. I'm in Boulder. And I'm like, yeah, bro, you can. Like that's how this works. You guys would have to be fucking crazy if you think that I want one of my best players that I've ever worked with not to stay home. The fact that we're in the top 3 makes me so happy because the majority of my guys, and I can just start reeling them off, they don't go to CU.
Right. Yeah.
They just don't. They leave the state or they go to other schools. So I really hope that they can bag him. The wild card here is, man, I hope Coach Prime is okay.
Yeah, me too, Matt. Yeah.
Like there's been no talk about this. They said they were going to tell us what was going on and no one said shit. He hasn't been there all summer. No one's really seen him. Like he talks to the coaches, obviously. He does the conference calls and the meetings, but he's at home and he's sick. So I hope that he's okay. And that we've talked about this how many times on the show alone. The only thing I could really see derailing this is if Coach Prime has to step away because of his health.
Right.
And I thought it would be blood clot related, like what happened with his toes and shit, right? But I don't know what's going on here and no one does.
Yeah.
So that's a wild card. You've had different offensive line coach every year. Now you have 3 instead of Beatonbaugh, Kaplowitz. Now you got 3 guys. So it's different.
Way different.
That doesn't mean it's bad.
No, it's just way different.
I do think that this perception, and Pat and I talked about this a long time, this perception that like you have to go to the SEC or the Big Ten to be successful. And even I've fallen victim to this. I've talked about it like, how can I tell my guys to go to a Big 12 school if they've got multiple SEC and Big 10 offers? Well, fuck. I mean, they're not going to Iowa State, though. They're not going to Cincinnati. They're going to CU, where we just won a Heisman. And we just had the number 2 pick in the draft. And I know Shedeur fell, and we'll talk about him, but Shedeur's going to be starting for Cleveland by the week 5. Flacco's not going to last.
Damn.
So Dylan Gabriel's not the guy, and Kenny Pickett's fucking hands are too small to hold the ball. That guy's not going to fucking play. So I look at this whole situation, and I'm very happy for Deacon and the Schmitts. They have earned all of this. They earned every penny they're going to make. They earned every opportunity they're going to get. This kid does things right, and he's big and physical and mean, and he's off the field. He's a big teddy bear. And that's what you're looking for. You don't need a psychopath 24 hours a day. That's not a good look. So I think Deacon, if he were to stay in Boulder, he could be the tip of the spear to keep other guys home. And it sets a precedent. And I hope that he sets it. I do not want my guys leaving if they don't have to. So I hope he sets it because I did. I set that when I was going out. I was the first commit of my class in 2000. And I remember talking to Coach Barnett like, hey, I am going to do everything humanly possible to make sure that Sean Tuff stays home, to make sure Clyde Sorrell stays home, to make sure Marcus Harris stays home, even Craig Oaks punk fucking ass from Fairview, to make sure his soft punk fucking ass stays home, to make, all the Purified, make sure Purified doesn't fucking leave, to make sure that the in-state guys we had to have to build a core to win are there. So you're not going to get a lot of those guys in Colorado anymore. Coach Prime, Coach Gerard, Gunner, and Coach Hang and everybody are very selective. But when they select you, I think you have to be smart enough to see through the veil of the SEC and the Big Ten. And I have to do the same thing. And this is me like recanting a little bit and kind of maturing in my opinion because I've got more information. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I've thought about it longer, and he's got his top. It's just we've had more discussions about what's important. And after talking to all the coaches and really who's recruiting him the hardest. Like Alabama hopes they get him. If they don't, they've got about 15, 20 other guys that they can just line up. Oklahoma really hopes they get him. I think that Venables loves him. I think Beatonbaugh really thinks that he's a pro and can turn him into a fucking professional first-round, second-round draft pick type guy, because that's what Bill Beatonbaugh does, period.
Yeah.
And that would be big for Norman. But outside of Beatonbaugh, Deacon Schmitt, the Schmitts, and like the Oklahoma offensive line room, they're just going to see another big offensive lineman from Colorado committing. Deacon Schmitt commits to the University of Colorado. It is going to be the fucking news of news. It is a fucking monster party. Windsor High School is going to explode on the 28th when he announces it. I'm going to tackle him on the fucking stage, for God's sake. It's going to be a goddamn riot, bro, in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be incredible. It's going to set a precedent that the top players in Colorado should and can stay home, and Coach Prime is going to recruit them. Speaking of guys staying home, you know who I've heard nothing but unbelievable things about and probably is going to start? Zane.
Really?
They are saying Zane is bigger, stronger, faster, can jump higher than everybody they got. He is fucking super mature for his age. Nobody can guard him. Nobody can cover him. He's a fucking terror in the weight room. And he just fucking got there. They haven't even done anything with him yet. So, like, I've always said, like, Zane, bro, you could be Gronkowski.
Let's go.
Do this, right? So I think Zane is going to step in at tight end as freshman and fucking ball out.
And Matt, that makes me optimistic for that tight end room. We talked about it. Zane, Zach Atkins, they got, I think Savell still. I mean, they got plenty of tight ends now, Matt.
He's fucking balling. And look, Deacon would be on the same trajectory, right? We made sure Zane early enrolls and gets the fuck out of Loveland and goes, no offense to Loveland, and goes to Boulder to get right. You know, he's like waiting until fucking August for training camp. Same thing. Deacon's gone in January, wherever he's going. So, as a guy who stayed home, are there pitfalls if you stay home? Yeah, there are. You have way more opportunity to look like an asshole if you're an asshole because everyone knows you. You're not just getting kicked out of the town. You can't, like when I got kicked out of school after my sophomore year and didn't play in the Fiesta Bowl and I had to like go 10 minutes down the road, it was pretty embarrassing because I live here, so I can't escape the embarrassment. You feel me? If I would have gone to the other schools, I just would have got kicked out and gone home. No one give a fuck. So I think Deacon has to just weigh what's really important to him. And he's going to get a good sized paycheck regardless, because he's the number one player in the state of Colorado and a 4-star recruit. And he should. This is what they're worth. This is what good offensive linemen are. They're worth the money. So I personally am praying that Deacon Schmitt is a buff, but I totally get and support him playing for Oklahoma and Alabama because Kapovic and Beatonbaugh are awesome coaches. They're fucking great programs. He's going to be I don't know how you can go wrong with any of the three. He has to determine what is the most important to him. I'll tell you, it would be, he's going to tell me beforehand. He said he'd give me like 3 or 4 days notice on what he's going to do. So I'm going to know before everybody. So I guess you're just going to have to try and read the room, but have fun trying to read my emotions because I got people in my head, dog. You have no idea what the fuck I'm thinking ever. So just get your mind right for that shit.
June 28th, Deacon Schmitt. We're going to hear it, but yeah, I don't.
Here's a good question. Here's a good question. Do I want to know early? I have to know. I'm part of this team.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Cliff and I and his parents and everybody involved in all the negotiations and all of the recruiting and all the shit that goes along with this. Since Deacon walked in when he was 15 years old with no offers and just a dream, and now he's walking out number one player in the state with fucking opportunity falling off of him. Right. We have to know what he's going to do before he does it. The last fucking person on earth that needs to be surprised about this is me.
Yeah.
And look, I in no way, shape, or form am going to try and sway him. Everyone needs to understand this. In no way, shape, or form am I going to sit there and say, you should do this because I think you should.
Right.
I'm going to give him my opinion, and I don't really have anything negative to say about all three of the places. So he has to make that decision, and whatever decision is made, I support it 1,000%. And I'm going to be a massive fan of that school, watching my guy ball the fuck out, period.
Yeah,
so, it's a big decision, dog. There's a lot of shit going on here. So
absolutely, no doubt, Matt. No doubt. And I can't wait to see it. I mean, just going weigh the pros and cons and decide what's best for him either way.
And I will say this too. All the shine from earlier this morning and I'm like trying to post all this shit. It's crazy. Go on Instagram, you'll see all the offers. We'll post all of it on Twitter. Mm-hmm. On Monday, we'll run through all of it. I couldn't get it to me fast enough. This is why we do this shit. Like this, all this pressure and all these eyes is exactly why Zane does it and why Deacon does it and Brack and Nick and Moon and Evan and everybody else. That's why we do it. So I'm telling you, this is a great fucking problem to have. I'll tell you that shit.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.